Let the Monday morning ruckus begin. This is Things You Might Not Have Heard, where we bring you yesterday's latest information in politics and current events and pop culture. And we're going to go be your go to source for unconventional stories that mainstream media, if you will, probably might have overlooked in some of the work they were doing. We will give you a good bunch of stuff. So please stand by as we, your news side piece, take the good stuff and take good care of you with that good stuff that you may have missed from your national news anchors last night. As the teaser graphic shows, we're going to get into a little bit of Jamie Lee Curtis and the Nepo baby stuff, plus 10 stories total, 9 other stories from the past weekend, vetted by U.S. Conversational and then curated by me for the story part. We'll explain to you how you participate in that vetting process towards the end of the show after the headlines are done. So it gets us about 10, 12 minutes or so, and then we'll give you that explanation there. Right now, we want to remind you that for more information about what we do as the Conversation Project, the greater project, go to our website. This is theconversationproject.com. And let's get into the 10 headlines for today. As we said, vetted by you and, of course, created by myself, Jay Cleveland Payne. Story number one is a funny one popping up from the Snowmageddon Armageddon snow coverage last week. Iowa sports reporter Mark Woodley's weather coverage goes viral. The winter event for sports reporter in Waterloo, Iowa was a little bit different for him because essentially all weekend sports were canceled. So they say, hey, why don't you come in about 5 hours early and stay about 12 hours late and just do snow coverage for us today to give our guys a break. So the sports reporter went outside. That's Mark Woodley of NBC affiliate KWWL. And did his, every 15-minute hits from out there, essentially complaining about having to be out there and doing extra work because he's a sports guy. He should be inside and not outside. And like he said, he can work 5 hours early, stayed for a full 12, 13 hours, much longer than he normally is. And at the end of the broadcast was basically complaining about going back to his old job. It was hilarious. You saw bits and pieces of it. And he put some of the highlights on line for his new viral hit sensation. And of course, all the news correspondents who covered this story talked about how they're basically in the same boat. The same question, I used to ask, why does I guess we'll CNN at the time, why is CNN sending Ali Velshi to die in a hurricane when they tell people don't go out in hurricanes? It's because someone has to be out there to tell you, please don't come out because you'll die as I risk my life. It's one of those things that's in media that makes no sense, but people do it. One of the coolest things about doing live news is when we did weather coverage and we sent out back when we had traffic teams or whatever, we just send people out in cars and just drive around looking for weather and just reporting out there. And it was insane. It was crazy. It was really quite dumb. But guess what? People tuned in for it. Our next story, the teaser, if you will, from our teaser graphic. Jamie Lee Curtis passionately defends Nepo babies' rights to exist. So now Jamie Lee Curtis may be, on the firing block, and she is taking some incoming heat, as there have been many articles detailing the original article that went into detail about Nepo babies. Now, Nepo babies, Nepo short for nepotism, and babies mean people born of privilege. And Nepo babies are something that happen basically everywhere. But there's a big deal on the new crop of Hollywood stars and TV stars and people in Hollywood making their name that are kids of famous people. So that supposedly got them in the door. They're saying, no, we had to work hard for it. O'Shea Jackson, who was Ice Cube's son's like, I had to do all my work myself. Dad didn't give me nothing. Most people say, yeah, we still got to show up for auditions, still have to do all the work. And now Jamie Lee Curtis is saying, they have a right to get work in Hollywood. The I guess, premier Nepo baby, if you will, the son of Tony Curtis, the daughter of Janet Leigh, and she's been having that hang over her head for forever. And so, as the queen of Nepo babies, she is defending the right of all her fellow Nepo babies to exist and do work in Hollywood. Nothing wrong with the Nepo babies, nothing wrong with them getting work. But the big thing is, you'd be surprised how many people in Hollywood, how many people that are in business that got a job, got it upstanding, think about politics because their pops, their auntie, their uncle, somebody was in politics. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, our incoming governor in a week, is, got her start because her pops was a governor. All of the Cuomos who got all their things going on. Guess what? Former Speaker of the House. Her dad was in Congress. She met a whole bunch of presidents when she was like 10 years old. No big deal. Nepo babies, nepotism is all over the place. In Hollywood, it's kind of expected. Right now, there's a bit of a backlash. Beyonce in the news because she is doing her first live concert in 4 years, supposedly being paid $24 million for a solo concert, a private concert, if you will, in Dubai. $24 million. Is she worth it? Probably so. She's doing a performance at a five-star resort, Atlantis, the Palm in Dubai. It's set for January 21st. It's her first concert in 4 years. Invites are out, but it's not like a ticket event. This is because it's a big, big deal. An hour of Beyonce's time, at least an hour of her time on stage, all the prep work is whatever it is, worth $24 million. And it's happened in Dubai. First time she's live in 4 years. I think Beyonce has earned it. Let's go to this story, which is bounced around. It took us a while to get to it, and we got to it fairly late, mostly because of all of the just heart-wrenching testimony we got a chance to see in reports from Megan Thee Stallion about Tory Lanez and him allegedly shooting her. Now it's no longer allegedly. Tory Lanez found guilty of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. The rapper was found guilty in 3 felonies in the 2020 shooting of hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion. He could face up to 22 years in prison. The shooting trial began on December the 12th, in 2020, believe it or not, 2 years after the accusation of the thing, and it's going on all this time. He pleaded not guilty in November of 2020. The dates may be wrong because it's the AI doing my work there, but it is what it is. The trial just wrapped up just now. It is harrowing. It is gory. You want to go and check out some past stories from this one because it's something that's worth seeing. And it's one of those things. We just talked about Nepo babies and people who get privilege for whatever. People think that famous people have all this stuff going for them, and sometimes their life is really, really stranger than fiction. This is a case right here. You've got to go deeper into this case and go deeper and see how that goes. Let's talk about this one. And it's a bit of a head scratcher, but it's also a bit of a sad, sad tale. We put a lot of faith in the Britney Spears as she got out of being controlled by her father for all these years and got out of that conservatorship. And now she's free and she want to get married and you want to have more babies and wants to do a bunch of stuff. This headline is one of those things where maybe we should not have left Britney alone so early. Maybe left her alone so early because maybe she has some issues. We all have issues, but famous people can get away with weirder stuff, such as Britney Spears posts shower videos after husband Sam Agashi says he preferred to keep nudes off social media. I don't know what my problem is. I'm having some, we'll explain that. We're doing some new things, so we'll explain some of those in a moment. Britney Spears is now free to do a bunch of stuff. So she says what she wants to say. She does what she wants to do. And she posts a whole bunch of stuff on social media, including things in bikinis and nudes and poses. We've got some backlash from many folks, including her parents who are a bit distraught, her father who obviously lost some money, her former husband, and the father of her children, who says her teenage kids don't want to deal with her because she's crazy. And now her new husband, Sam Agashi, who I think is a Wall Street dude, whatever he does, he just kind of married Britney Spears, is saying, he kind of like it if his wife would do less of the nudes on social media. It would be a little better if she didn't do all that racy stuff. But, she's free to do what she wants to, but yeah, I'd like her to kind of tone it down a bit. And then she posts videos of her in the shower, or nudes of her in the shower. It's one of those things that, like I said, famous people get away with more stuff. If this was just a regular TikToker, we'd be freaking out. But not to this extent. You would say, TikTok is bad. If this was a OnlyFans person, you'd say this is why OnlyFans shouldn't exist, even though you probably pay for your subscription under the table. One of those things. This is a thing where a famous person who people gave a lot of love and support to dealing with the real ordeal is proving that she may need a little more therapy going forward. This is Jay Cleveland Payne talking. These are my words. Putin says Russia is ready to negotiate over Ukraine. Ukraine says Russia is trying to buy time to get some people in place because they're losing the war. The world says Russia isn't really good on this, and we're just going to back on this. Trump says Russia's doing good things. Trump's an idiot. Let's move on to the next story. Speaking of soldiers, Soldier Field. See where I went with that one. Mostly empty for Christmas Eve game. Now, this was a report coming out early as pregame was happening for the Bears versus the Buffalo Bills. Even though it didn't get that much better. This year, Christmas came on a Sunday, Christmas Eve on a Saturday, and the NFL took full advantage of the time to give some people some time off and to spread their Christmas cheer of football and to sort of get in the NBA's way all weekend long. Christmas Day is normally NBA's heyday, the first day to do a bunch of large televised games for people to see a nationwide consumption after starting the season after 6 weeks earlier. So NBA starts on Christmas. This year, Christmas was overtaken by the NFL and a couple bowl games going around with Christmas Eve games to spread all day long and Christmas Day games on a normal schedule, and basically getting more football in an easier to palatable way for everybody to get there. The problem it's Christmas Eve. Who's going to a ball game on Christmas Eve? Not a lot of people traveling on Christmas Eve. And of course, the home folks have other plans, expensive going on. So the pictures of the mostly empty field of Soldier Field before the game is kind of poignant, although it did fill up quite a bit. Now, granted, it was cold in Chicago, but Buffalo Bills got a chance to escape another weekend of like 28 inches of snow in the weekend. So they're happy to be out of that for the weekend and come home to their blizzard conditions that they left. Now, HBO Max plans to add commercials to original series. This is a way to make more money for the new Warner Brothers Discovery and the sort of the bane of existence of HBO. The reason why you pay for HBO is to not get commercials. It's pay for premium content that is not interrupted, and it's good stuff. Now, this is mostly going to things like Game of Thrones and House of Dragons, the serialized stuff that you can kind of put commercials in going back and forth, but who knows what's going to happen going forward in other things. Great American Family apologizes for airing Drag Race HIV drug ads. Now, this channel is unapologetic in how it promotes itself as evangelical Christian value type television, but it did have to apologize to those evangelical Christian type people as it ran some commercials for HIV drugs because the stigma is, people with HIV are probably gay because it's that way. In fact, in the ad, there's a picture of a person who is in drag, which is where the drag race came from. And so it's there. So taking money, being commercialized and, doing what they do, keeping things on the air for those great Christian value types things and running ads for people who, you think you want to bring in the great Christian values didn't quite work out for Great American Family for the weekend. Apologizing for taking those ads and I don't know, giving the money back? Probably not. Avatar, the sequel to Avatar 2, Electric Boogaloo, is the top for the second week in the box office, making $253.7 million domestically in its first 10 days, of course, which is not quite where it wanted to be. It's doing well otherwise. It's the only thing out there going. Whether it's going to be the biggest hit of the season, who knows? It's going to bring in the most money, but will it make all the money back? We'll see. Now, 3 and 4 are like being filmed at the same time because we need a 3 and 4. It took 12 years to get 2. So 3 and 4, by 3 and 4 come out, I'll be dead and obviously won't care. I don't care about this one very much, but we'll see how Avatar plays itself out going forward. Let's go to our teaser story. And the teaser stories are stories that we may talk about tomorrow if you deem the story good enough, engage-wise, to vote it up so I can put it in there. So this is a study that suggests that Monty Python's silly walking exercise could improve health. The Ministry of Silly Walks is one of the classic Monty Python sketches from the Flying Circus TV days. And basically, if you walk like that, guess what? You may burn a few extra calories. You want to talk about something like that? It's simple. You just vote this up in the engagement on our feeds, or vote up other stories if this one's not one up to snuff. It's very simple. If you're watching this and not listening to the podcast, you see the feed links on the bottom of the scroll right now. Go to those links and you can see the news stories posted every 50 minutes to engage in. If you're not seeing this or just want me to say it anyway, go to facebook.com/this is the conversation project, this is conversation project. Yes. Go to facebook.com/this is a conversation project and twitter.com/th_conversation. What you do is just go to our Twitter site, our Facebook site, and the stories are posted every 50 minutes. Like them, love them, hate them, share them. Be a part of the magic that is us and see if a story that you like can make it into the reporting for tomorrow. It is pretty much just that simple. Now, this is the part where we talk about our sponsors, and we're not going to apologize and take any away because we need the cash. We're going to talk about Robinhood today. Robinhood is a fun way to take care of your money. Now, yes, stocks did not do very well this year. Yes, crypto is pretty much useless right now. Yes, your investments are down, but they could go up. And if you don't have a way into the market, Robinhood allows you a free way to get yourself into the game. We're also going to make it worth your while by giving you a free stock just for signing up for Robinhood. Now, before I was a Robinhood affiliate, which you're going to give the link in a second, I was been a long-time Robinhood user, and this is something I use for my personal stock working. Part of my larger company, More Better Media, does things on business and money and finance. And for my podcasts and media with that stuff, Robinhood is my go-to for my source of money. It is my money I'm invested in there to do my research, if you will. And so Robinhood is where I got a chance to learn more stuff about the stock market. I got my toe into crypto when it became a big thing to talk about it. Saw I hated it, watch it go up, watch it go way down, got rid of all of it. No crypto at all owned right now. I'll learn more about some of the deeper and more complicated ways of trading on the markets because Robinhood allows you to do things on that. Robinhood also is doing other things to make sure you're making good money. They've just launched an IRA account. And so the waiting list is going pretty quickly. So if you don't have an IRA, if you're an independent worker, or you just want to see how these things work, you can fund your own IRA with your own money and your own stocks on your own ways by going to Robinhood. Check it out. All the innovations they're doing. Yes, the market's not doing so well, so they've got to do some things to up their game. Robinhood is up in their game right now. Check us out at our affiliate link. This is a conversationproject.com/Robinhood. This is a conversationproject.com/Robinhood. This is a conversationproject.com/Robinhood. Affiliate links mean we get a small percentage once you actually become a customer with Robinhood. That helps keeps us going, keeps this thing going here. So an easy, simpler way to keep things going with us here. If you think we're providing great content, visit our sponsors page for other sponsors or check out Robinhood today using our link and help us keep on going. Let's keep on going. And now we're going to not talk about Robinhood, but we're talking about ourselves. This is the conversationproject.com. That's our website. The Conversation Project is a website home for various different projects that allow me and a few other folks out there in the internet to pull together some news stories from around the world, literally worldwide, some of the biggest news stories around the world, and get responses to it, get conversational responses to it. That's why you vote up the stories. You tell me what to talk about here every weekday morning. On this morning, this Monday morning, because we do the full weekend, we do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a little bit of Monday morning, we pull in over 90 stories in that big old swath of a net to catch the fish. From there, we rack them from top engagement, and we take the top 30 stories and we whittle those down to 10 stories to present to you. For the rest of the week, Tuesday through Friday, we're going to take about 35 stories. So that's basically the max of base of stories within a full day plus 5-6 hours. So for Monday to or a little bit of Tuesday, 35 stories will be pulled. We're going to whittle them down from the top 15, top half of those stories, and give you 8 of those. That's how we'll give you the stories to go to. If we're not doing a story that you like, that means enough people did not engage in it, or I sort of thought that story didn't work out as well as other stuff. To ensure that your stories make the cut, make sure you're following us on our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you're following us on feeds on Facebook and Twitter. If you're watching, you see them at the top right corner. Or top right, I think top right of screen because I'm backwards in the video. It's facebook.com/this is a conversation project and twitter.com/th_conversation. We're going to talk a bit more in once we get past the today's stuff in just a minute about some things we're doing, things we're trying out, things that we did this week. It literally started today that if you're a longtime watcher, you may have noticed and said, hey, I see that. If you are a longtime watcher and for some reason noticed you aren't seeing us, which means you're not hearing these words right now, We'll explain that as well. But first, let's get to today things, the fun stuff, which is birthdays for today. We want to wrap it up on a fun end. Birthdays on December 26th. Yesterday was a big day for birthdays. A lot of December 25th birthdays, and we're posting those in our feed. So for weekend days, we'll start posting the day of the day and, of course, the birthdays. 3 birthdays for today. Not very many on the list that were famous in our listing. John Walsh of America's Most Wanted fame, 77 years old today. Jared Leto, 51 years old today, and Kit Harington. Jon Snow. You do not know nothing, Jon Snow. I think that's how it goes. I don't even watch the show. I barely know who this guy is. 36 years old today, Kit Harington. Happy birthday, Jon Snow. Today is Boxing Day. Boxing Day is sort of a running joke in the United States because no one actually understands Boxing Day. They're not sure if it's about boxes, what you're boxing up. Today is essentially the day, the 26th, although it's going to be a little weird because a lot of things are closed. This is the Christmas holiday day part, where people go back and they start returning gifts from Christmas because day after. Boxing Day has something to do with regifting, I think. Look it up online. I actually have a link to this someplace in the newsletters and things, but I didn't take the time to read it, be honest. I can't. And just be honest, Boxing Day just works better as kind of a running joke than going forward. One more thing before we go. Wow. Itchy, scratchy, all sorts of things today. People who retire early die sooner than those who keep working past 65. U.S. Census data reveal a clear correlation between premature death and premature retirement. The data, analyzed by Cornell University, is particularly stark among men who have a 20% higher mortality risk if they start claiming Social Security benefits at 62, 3 years premature. Now, this is something that should not come to a shock for many people, especially sports fans. It is essentially traditional, more or less, that, old school, longtime coaches essentially die when they retire. This is the biggest thing when people talk about Coach Bear Bryant as one of the greatest coaches of all time is basically the fact that he basically died was, as soon as he retired, he was set to die. People who work at very high level types of stuff and then you stop doing high level stuff tend to lose focus, tend to literally lose the will to live. And that loss of routine is a correlation towards their death. Not necessarily that not going to work 5 days a week is what actually kills them, but it's more or less not having the routine and the boredom that sets in for that change that sort of gives them a less of ability to kind of strive, and somehow their body and their mind can sort of figure it out together. It's one of those things. It's one reason why it's a fight my wife and I have on the retirement stuff. She wants to just stop working. I want to have something to do. And it's something that I'm seeing in more people older. I've seen in my parents who have retired. My mother is now finally retired. My dad retired 4 or 5 times. It's a long story. But now that they don't go to work anymore, they're almost as busy as they were before, doing some of the same stuff they were doing before, just not for a paycheck. It's weird. But if you think that retirement is the key to some magic thing, the biggest thing about getting that big age, 65, and not having to work anymore is to essentially find something to do that keeps you young. I know a lot of people who hit their 65 year this last couple of years, and they are the most active people I know. They give into people, they care, they take care of kids, they take care of people, they take care of just business stuff. They do real hard work, just not for the big time paychecks they had to in the past. And you can tell it keeps them young. Me, I complain about my work all the time, and I feel like I'm 85, and I'm not quite there. Not quite. This has been Things You Might Not Have Heard for Monday, December 26th, 2022. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Here's where we're going to go extremely long today. And I'm not going to cut it off for the podcast. I'm not going to cut it off for the replay. We're just going to go long and sort of explain some things here. So when our retention drops here, you're free to do this. So before you drop off, stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task. I say that every day because we want you to, be here tomorrow. So what have we done in the past couple of weeks, and especially today, to put things out? Number one, the script I read this morning fairly, poorly to open the show was rewritten by an AI chatbot, and then of course edited a bit by me. And because my screens are a little weird, we'll get to that in a second. It's going to be a standard. We're going to trim it up a little bit and make it sound standard, but we're going to do a lot less riffing do a lot more professional stuff. And we're actually looking to get some people to help out with some writing. So if you are a writer looking for a little bit of work to do some stuff, reach out to us and we'll see what's going on. Essentially, cleaning up these scripts that we're doing so they're easier to read, whether I can read them easily or not. Your mileage may vary. So we're going to work on that. So the script was written by an AI program. Ironically, it worked out very well with a good draft, and just need to change a couple phrases and turn a couple things, put some things in there from the quick sentence I gave to some other things to make it more relevant, and we'll trim that up. The script that I read for the stories, also using AI to pre-read the articles and whittle down some things. Now, it's not perfect. In fact, in one of the articles, it kept giving me all the external link stuff and not anything from the actual article. So it's not perfect. It reads bits and pieces from bits and pieces of things and tries to parse out things. It also, when I tried it last week, would not put a full name. It would take a paragraph lower into the article and take the last names if you already know who people are. And so if you don't go through and rewrite those, they become an issue. They become a thing. It's there as well. So we have a script for all the things going on. Hydration break for those who are listening. We are doing the best we can to standardize, formalize, and take this in a more professional direction. We're looking to do some upgrades to equipment, the space. This bookcase right here is literally a corner in my office, and it's much bigger than which you see if you see my hands going forward. Basically, the ends of the bookcases is my studio, so that's why everything's so tight. We like to get better cameras, better equipment, an actual prompter, so it's easier to read things instead of squinting things on little monitor screens. So we're doing what we can to improve on what we're doing here. Once I get some upgrades and some cleanup, we'll show you what's going on in this area here. And that takes time, effort, little money, and we're doing what we can to keep this going. This is a project this video project created around August, essentially, and the whole conversation thing going on 10 years of different iterations is something that we're ready to take on to a larger extent. So we're going to do what we can to do what we can with that. Go to our website, thisisaconversationproject.com, and see where you can find us. We're going to do more pushing to our Instagram as well, do some lives there, do some things there to remind folks that we are there as well. We're going to work on the TikTok. TikTok isn't a massive success. It's hard to find actual news stuff that isn't people twerking or in TikTok. It's mostly entertainment. It's not really social media, as people explain. It's mostly people being entertained with little clips. So it's hard to kind of get that in there. But we're going to do what we can to make things happen and kind of deal with technology as it is. In the meantime, if we need your help. Last week, going into Christmas, we did a big push on partnerships. If you want to help us out, go to thisconversationproject.com/partnerships and see how you can partner up with us to keep things going here. I work a full-time job. I work more than a full-time job. In fact, I work about 70, 80 hours a week at a job because it's the thing that's there. This stuff right here keeps me sane. This stuff right here helps me feel like a better person. This stuff like right here helps me reach out to engage with the people because I'm kind of a weirdo like that. So if you're enjoying what you're getting, if you want more contact, let us know. Look out as further on in the week as we go along. We're going to tell you some other things we're going to do with the show, including the other shows we want to push out there. Oh, I'd like you to also, since we're going on, check out, search on wherever you get your podcasts for the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. Subscribe this week. 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. Subscribe this week. Last week, I gave a Christmas message that you wouldn't believe, but shockingly, you'll love. One of those type of clickbaity things. And this week, I'm going to give into that thing my planning guide, the way I plan for things, my personal improvement planning guide. How every year when I look at my resolutions or every time I get a free moment and see free time to work on stuff, how I choose what I'm going to work on. And it's not exactly how this thing's work. Well, it kind of works how this one works. And this thing works as things get better and we see holes that need to be worked on. We look at little pieces we can add into and put them into place and add them one or two things at a time. Some things kind of go in tandem. So we kind of put them together and kind of worked them on together. The reading, the AI for the scripts popped in on a Notion for the AI for the intro popped in with the scripts. So we're making it's all one script. So it's all together. It's two different AIs. Go figure. We've gone 30 minutes today, so we've gone way too long. Thank you so much if you stayed with us this long. Thank you so much for being a part of what we do here. Thank you for watching me itch and scratch today, because apparently this shirt has been in the closet for a bit, so it's got a little bit of a thing to it. And thank you for just being you. If you need something, we're still in that holiday season. I mean, we got past Christmas. New Year's Eve is another thing as well. Dial 988 on your cell phone or text 988 on that same cell phone. Someone's there to speak to you 24 hours a day in English and Spanish. My buttons are no longer in the right places, so I'm looking everywhere to find them. Thank you so much for being a part of this. More nervous banter to get to the button. We'll see you tomorrow morning.